Arizona Theater Matters, with generous support from the Ornest Family Foundation, the Arizona Commission on the Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts proudly present the voices of Shivack, Jen Gantwerker, Matt Clarke, and Debra Lyman in The Jewish Question. With sign language by Schoenberger, Candis Gingras, Leprintess Bradley, and Jerilyn Hartley. Music composed and performed by the Driftwood Quintet. Post-production supervisor, Kevin Ty. Written and directed by Jeanmarie Simpson.
Scene 1. At Rise. We see on the cyclorama a montage of political action going back to colonial times. The montage ends with film into a still of an aerial view of a massive contemporary march. Slow crossfade on the cyc to a late afternoon sky looking north from Venice. We're in Grace's large, old-fashioned blue and white kitchen with a high ceiling, cabinets along the wall staged right, with a sink midway and counter underneath, and more cabinets running beneath the entire length of the counter. There's a hallway entrance upstage right. Upstage center is a wonderful big old gas stove and oven with a vintage refrigerator to its left. The back door is left of the fridge. To the left of the door is an archway into the living room. We see the back of an overstuffed chair, lamp, and table on which we can see a few newspapers and other items. There is a large, antique sideboard on the kitchen wall, left. The generous, round kitchen table is center. The sizable old landline hinges on the wall between the refrigerator and back door. Grace enters quickly from hallway right. She wears a pretty dress with bare legs and worn flats. She crosses to the phone and answers it.
Hello?
Tanta, hi, it's me.
I can hardly hear you. Speak up.
Yes, it's me.
Is that you, Rivka?
Yeah, sorry, it's loud. I'm at the march right now.
Oh, you. It's so loud.
I just wanted to check if you went to the store. If you try to go to the store.
No, I haven't gone to the store, but I wanted to get you some mail.
Okay, try to go to the store. You have cookies, right?
Of course there are cookies. When have you ever known me not to have cookies?
Never. You always have cookies. That's good.
How's in the oven? I was just gonna...
It's crazy out here. There's so many people.
Okay. I'll stay put.
Okay, good. Yes. 1,000,000 people talking.
Million people?
Yeah, 1,000,000 people. Yeah.
I knew it was a lot.
Okay.
There's not a parking place anywhere in sight. So many walking toward the circle. Good thing your car is here already. But I don't know. Rivka, I'm getting another call. Get here as soon as you can.
I'll see you soon.
But be careful.
Bye.
Bye, Lipkin.
Love you.
Hello?
You would not believe what's going on. But you cannot believe.
I can hardly hear you.
Hey, tell you what's going on down here. We're down here. We're under the freeway. It's good because we're out of the sun, but you cannot believe what's going on down here. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life. You just can't believe what's going on. I've never seen so many people in my life. It's like, it's more than, you can't,
Yes, that's what my niece just told me. I think it's 1 million people today. I'm glad I stayed home.
Remember that one time when we went shopping on that, we went to that sale, that one Black Friday sale, and we thought, we just couldn't even go in. There's so many people. Well, it's like that only. That was nothing. That was just nothing. There's just nothing. But you've got to come. You've got to come over here and get us. Because you know what's going to happen. Laura has lost her mind again.
Who did?
Laura.
Oh, she is so sugar.
What can I say? She doesn't. She's just lost. How can she lose what she's never had? She's in her chair. She's demanding. She wants everybody to push her. And of course she's fine. There's nothing wrong with her. She just wants to be the belle of the ball. Always. She wants everybody to push her. Nobody. She's the youngest one among us. She wants to be pushed. And, nobody fish. And she's just making such a fuss. And it's all, of course, about the ADA, which has nothing to do with anything. But, of course, to her is that...
She'll get in jail tonight. Again.
So, I know, she is. She's going to get arrested. She's going to trying to get all of us arrested. Well, I am not. I ain't doing it. I ain't going under. No. I ain't doing it. No. I am not. No. Well, I wish you would just come down and pick us up.
I don't have time tonight. My niece is coming.
Oh, all right.
She's caught up in it, too. Her car is here, but she... They're supposed to wind up in front of Senator Feinstein's. But I guess it's too much people in traffic, so they'll come wait it out here.
No.
Rebecca and Ash appear at the screen door.
Listen, Edith, I need to hang up now.
Oh, all right. Oh, I did see Rebecca. Oh, she looks so beautiful today. You should have seen. Oh, she is with. Oh, he is just a look handsome.
Try not to get arrested.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
nobody can get.
You have a good Sabbath. All right, Gracie.
Right.
You have a good Sabbath. All right.
Take care, Edith.
Rebecca wears sunglasses, an Indian print gauze dress, sandals, and a straw hat with a big brim. She's got a seriously professional camera hanging on one shoulder and a straw purse on the other. She kisses her fingers, places them on the mezuzah on the doorframe, holds them for a beat, then back on her lips. She enters, taking off her hat. Ash watches her uncomfortably and then stumbles in, clearly having been roughed up somehow. He's got a scrape on his left cheekbone and is holding a wad of tissue to his right elbow, which is bleeding. He's in broken Ralph Lauren sunglasses, torn and grass-stained Marc Jacob jeans, muddy blue Chuck Taylor high tops, dirty Brooks Brothers shirt with open collar, rolled up sleeves and torn pocket, Ralph Lauren striped grosgrain O-ring belt. He's got a reporter's notebook in his free hand. There is a clear electrical spark between Rebecca and Ash.
Good Shabbos, my Rivkala. Who's still looking too thin? Here.
Hands her the potatoes and vegetables.
Put these on the table and tell me who is this?
She turns to Ash, not noticing his disheveled state.
Good Shabbos, Tanta. This is Ash. Ash, meet my Aunt Grace.
Nice to meet you.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Sit. Rivkala, get me the schmatter off the back of the chair.
Rebecca crosses into the living room, where she deposits her hat and purse. Ash sits as Grace gets a bottle of dark red wine out of the rack on the counter and puts it on the table. She takes 3 cut crystal glasses out of the cupboard and puts them on the sideboard. She picks up from the counter and hands to Ash a wine opener. He tries to open the wine as Rebecca crosses to Grace with a sparkly purple and blue scarf she places on Grace's shoulder. She sees Ash struggling with the wine bottle, takes it and the opener from him.
Give me that, silly man. Tonto, look at his elbow. Look at him. He's a mess. He got trampled. He's bleeding.
Right.
She puts the scarf on the back of her chair and quickly crosses to the sink.
Why didn't you tell me right away? Oh, Bubala, come over here to the sink.
Grace pulls out a tall step stool, sets it next to her at the sink. She gets a clean washcloth, rinses and brings it out and puts it up to the scrape on Ash's left cheek, takes his left hand, has him hold the washcloth up to his eye and sits him on the stool.
Hold that. Make a bag of ice, would you? Lift
He
that.
rinses another washcloth and starts working on Ash's bloody right elbow.
Right, May.
Grace grabs a dark-colored tea towel and ties it around Ash's elbow, then retrieves a first aid kit out of the cupboard. She digs out a roll of gauze and goes back to work on Ash's elbow, trying to stop the bleeding. Ash's cell phone rings. He reaches for it with his bleeding elbow hand.
Yeah, Allie. No, I'm not going to make it. Man, I got dragged and flattened in the parking lot. Someone bashed into my front end.
You wouldn't believe it, Tanta. Windward circles like Times Square on New Year's Eve. I've never seen so many people. Like the ocean.
Literally.
Rebecca moves his hand with the washcloth.
No way. The tow truck can't get in here until the insanity disperses, and they need me to be here when they get here. I'm just going to wait it out.
She replaces the cloth with an ice pack and puts it back up to his face.
No, I'm fine.
Edith called. She said they're stuck at the overpass.
I know, man. It does. I'm sorry, Howie. Nothing I can do about it. I'll let you know what...
You want to hear God laugh?
Bye.
Tell him your plans.
Yeah.
No point trying to cheer him up, Tanta. I think he's enjoying his bad mood.
Was wird sein. What will be, will be.
Maybe he can't help it.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you, Rebecca's aunt, for taking care of me, and thank you, Rebecca, for bringing me there.
Oh, so what happened to you?
I was talking to a guy dressed as a baby bottle when some fool in a bright pink crown bumped into me, and his dog, wearing a sign that said, "Dogs for Peace," latched onto my pant leg and dragged me through the gravel. Some woman dressed as a railroad signal and another wearing a yellow submarine came to my rescue. Then we were all crushed by a bunch of kids dressed like prisoners.
He's a magnet for the crazies. Bet you didn't expect to be beaten up by a bunch of pacifists today.
They hit my car, broke my windshield, got me dragged and mangled, all while wielding desperately ignorant signs.
Tell me about your family, Ash. Short for Asher?
Yeah.
And the middle name?
Joseph.
Ah, 2 of the 12 tribes. So, your family? Observant?
Oh, yes, but I'm not religious.
Grace crosses to the sink, brings out the washcloth, and returns it to Ash's elbow.
He's in town for his parents' anniversary, Tanta. He lives far away in Sacramento, the secular diaspora. When people ask if he's Jewish, he says, culturally.
With a Rosenberg surname, they don't usually take me for Swahili.
And you work together a lot?
Quite a
We
bit.
met at the Capitol, Election Day 2000.
And that became election month. So we hung out a lot.
First time we worked together down here, though.
We've been chiefly text pals for years.
We were both assigned to the march today.
I got some great pictures of him after he got stomped. He looked like he'd been through a thresher made of cats.
Grace finishes wrapping Ash's elbow.
Go sit down at the table. We're just waiting for the challah.
She makes it from scratch. It's heaven.
Grace pulls a tablecloth out of a drawer and hands it to Rebecca, who opens it up and puts it on the table. She and Grace set the table beautifully with a white tablecloth, lovely blue and white ceramic candlesticks, tall white candles, and matching dishes. On the sideboard is a whole chicken on a platter, an empty bread basket lined with a tea towel, salt, pepper, and a full napkin holder, all of which are moved to the table by Grace and Rebecca.
Wow, I don't think I've had the challah from anywhere but Gilson's.
Of course, Beverly Hills boy.
They make a good challah, Gelson's, for a store bakery. They had a lot of dough conditioners, though. Not old-fashioned like mine.
Yours is perfection. Schlemus, Tanta.
So, tell me about the march.
Ash rolls his eyes and makes a disgusted face. Rebecca opens her mouth, starts to answer, but Grace cuts her off.
I want to hear from Ashelo.
Tanta, he's not.
Let him talk.
It was... It's nuts out there. Never seen anything like it.
A lot of P6.
With their dogs, their kids, with their crazy hats.
You don't approve.
I just don't get.
What don't you get?
He doesn't.
Lincoln?
Oh, all right.
She crosses to the fridge, pulls out a jar of kosher dills, gets a fork, spears one and chews on it, leaning against the counter, watching Grace and Ash with humor and some concern.
Are you really interested?
Always. 1 million people take to the streets for human rights, and you don't get it? You're a reporter. Did you interview a lot of them?
I did. The most significant part of my story will be from the guy at the Peace Center.
Michael?
Yes.
What? He's immense. We're lucky to have him.
Stands, nudges Rebecca to sit down while she gets the bread out of the oven.
Seemed like a smart guy, down to earth.
Very smart. A very kind man. Doesn't get too excited when things go wrong, which is what we need, because things always go wrong.
He's still hopelessly naive. Thinks war is not the answer, but doesn't seem to
Speaking
appreciate
of hopelessly naive,
Rebecca starts snapping pictures. Takes a few more of Ash, then both Ash and Grace.
we've got 800 military bases all over the planet. We're essentially occupying the globe.
That's not war. Those countries want us there. We're a deterrent. If we pulled out, all the peaceniks in the world wouldn't fill that void.
Peacenik.
You think war and militarism are wrong, but you've got no answers when asked about alternatives. But by all means, prove wrong.
Besides hundreds of millions of civilians dead in the past century
We helped
alone.
wipe out the Khmer Rouge. We stopped the Muslim thugs and mafia.
That made way for Pol Pot. And we let hundreds of thousands be raped and slaughtered before we did anything about
We
it.
got rid of the Nazis.
You've got to be kidding me. There are still Nazis all over the place.
No Nazis are running in countries today. There are pockets of neo-Nazis.
And multiplying. It's only a matter of time.
All the more need for Israel.
Here we go.
Where else can we go?
Where can anyone go? Black people, Catholics, gay people, people with
Not
disabilities.
my problem.
Oh my God.
She shakes her head, snaps more pictures as she speaks.
But you support war.
I support U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. I support Israeli self-determination. I support...
You blindly support the state of
Not
Israel.
blindly. I just think Israel has a right to exist.
Brother.
What?
Who doesn't have a right to exist?
Terrorists.
These Muslims.
Extremists, yes. The ones who want to wipe Israel and every Jew off the face of the earth. The ones who insist on keeping the war going.
We're the ones keeping the war going. It's all about oil.
Hardly.
Is it worth it?
I don't know. You drive a car?
I do.
Ever heard of 9/11?
I was with you on 9/11. Of course I've heard of it. What does 9/11 have to do with the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan? Come on. 9/11 was an excuse. Like the Maine, the Lusitania, Pearl Harbor, and the Gulf of Tonkin. There's always a perfectly timed emergency that gives them an excuse to do what they were planning to do anyway. Usually to take control of a country's natural resources.
I know you're a socialist.
You don't even know what that means.
I've heard you say it 100 times. Jointly needed, jointly owned.
So what's the problem?
It's not freedom.
You're too educated to equate socialism with totalitarian communism.
Tell that to the Venezuelans.
How can you say that? Chavez has done great things in Venezuela.
Are you nuts?
For a reporter, you sure have drunk the Kool-Aid. Chavez nationalized oil and big industries and created excellent education, health, and housing programs. Speaking of Marxist, things were great in Guatemala before the CIA's United Fruit-driven coup in 1954, and in Chile before 9/11, 1973, and all over the damn world. When the masses get organized and natural resources belong to the citizens, the capitalists always cry communism.
It's time.
Grace takes the bread basket off the table, takes off the stove the steaming, fragrant challah, puts it in the basket, and sets the basket back on the table. Rebecca turns off the lights as Grace puts the scarf on her head. There is a brilliant sunset on the cyc that fades to black by the end of the blessings. Rebecca sits at the table, stage right, opposite Ash. Grace stands up center at the table, strikes a match, and lights the candles. Rebecca allows her senses to be overtaken. She is in heaven. Ash is not loving it.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Adikner shel Shabbat.
Ash thinks it's over and starts to put his napkin on his lap. Rebecca reaches over and stops him. Grace lifts the wine bottle. Rebecca blesses the wine.
Yom HaShishi, Vaychulu Hashemayim v'haaretz v'chol tzva'am. Vaychal Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa. Vayishbot bayom hashvi'i Mechael melachto asher asa. Vayvarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vaykadesh oto. Kibot Shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'aso.
Grace pours the wine into the glasses.
Sabri maranan v'rabanan v'rabotai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei peri hagafen.
Raise their glasses.
L'chaim.
They drink. Ash quickly picks up his glass and takes a sip. Grace blesses the bread.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamatzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Grace sits and adjusts her scarf so it rests on her shoulders.
Please pass the chicken.
All start passing food and serving themselves. Rebecca and Grace chatter away as the lights fade, leaving only the candles burning. Images up on the screen. Transition. Scene 2. Lights up, dinner is finished, the dishes cleared to the sink and counters. Grace, Rebecca, and Ash are sitting at the table drinking vodka. In the middle of the table is a little plate of rye bread that they occasionally tear and dip into the vodka and eat. They're all slightly drunk and laughing. Ash is just finishing up a joke.
Ladies, he says, is anything okay?
Why are there so few Jewish alcoholics?
I don't know why.
It's been our suffering.
Your people were from Russia, Ash, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, so were ours a few generations ago, but they left when they heard there was gonna be a pogrom. They had new dishes.
What the Gentiles invented?
Somebody's gotta pay me.
Born and raised in this city, I've never been to the Venice canals. Beautiful.
I remember coming here for the first time. Dad took me on a long walk up and down all the different walkways. I thought it was fairyland. And he had made friends with so many of your neighbors, Tante. As we passed their houses, people waved and called to him. Everybody loved him. Worse, my father was a saint.
Grace is silent, raises her eyebrows, pulls apart a piece of bread. Ash notices.
Smell that jasmine. God, I want to crawl right up into those blossoms and live there forever.
Take a cutting already. I'll make one for you right now.
I'll do it, Tante. Do you have a jar I can use?
A pie. And Ashula, can you reach a pie for her? They're on top.
Sure.
He rises a little unsteadily, crosses to the cabinet, reaches up and pulls down a small jar.
Not that one. The bigger one on the right.
Okay, then.
He gives the jar to Rebecca.
Here you go.
Thanks.
They make eye contact, stand there for a moment, hands touching around the jar.
Put in a whistle of the miracle grow to the water. It's under the sink.
Thank you, Tante.
She opens the cabinet under the sink, pulls out Miracle Grow, puts a little in the jar, fills the jar with water, puts away the Miracle Grow, closes the cabinet, takes a step toward the back door, and stops when Ash speaks.
I've got to make a call. Excuse me.
He steps out the back door.
What a Shayna boy chick.
Oh, Tantala, I have got it bad.
It shows. You two argue like an old married couple.
Rebecca quickly crosses to Grace, kisses her on top of the head, and emotionally hugs her shoulders, then, jar in hand, steps out the back door. Grace crosses to the sink, starts organizing the dishes to wash.
Unter jeder Fliegelein steht a knurrbeiß Ziegelein. Das Siegeleis geflohen handeln. Was det Wein sein Beruf? Rosenkind mit Mandeln. Schlaf, schlaf.
Rebecca returns with a few lush jasmine cuttings in the jar. She takes in the scent and puts them in the middle of the table. She crosses to Grace and puts her arms around her shoulders.
Tante, please let me do that. Go sit down.
It'll only take a minute.
Please let me do it, Tante. I can't stand to see you cleaning up after me.
What are you, Jewish?
It's not guilt, Tante. It's love.
Grace puts her hand on one side of Rebecca's face.
How can I argue with that? Here I am, sitting down for my niece who loves me.
She sits and pours herself some more vodka. Ash steps back in through the back door.
He returns from the wilderness, sits in Ashela. What news?
Ash sits back in his spot at the table and pulls out his notepad.
Well, I do have some news. I just spoke with Gil.
Our editor.
I told him traffic is still too bad for us to try to get east of Pico. I didn't want to tell him that I don't think either of us is any shape to drive, and I pitched him a new idea.
Yeah, what idea?
I told him about you, Grace. How you've been going to marches since when?
1947.
Gil agrees with me that a story about you, your history of activism.
Resistant.
Rabble rousing.
Magnificent photograph.
Yes, and the different generations of activism in your family.
I like it.
But we've been drinking.
I'm not submitting it tonight. It's going to take a couple weeks. I'd like to do some recording, if you don't mind.
I prefer it. Less chance of being misquoted.
If we're gonna sit here in kibitz, first, sich must nutz the toilet. Excuse me.
She exits to the hallway.
This is weird.
I like her.
She likes you too. She is such a yenta.
Oh, yeah?
I'm gonna make some tea. You want some?
Sure.
Black or green?
Green?
Okay, Bobola.
You have so much Yiddish.
My hippie mother. The anarchist parents spoke Yiddish at the speed of light. Damn, I miss her.
Both of them, right? Car accident?
10 years ago. Both in one night. Ah.
I'm so sorry.
Thanks.
So, your aunt?
My father's sister. They were Kindertransport orphans, but they went to Belgium. Her husband, my Uncle Benny, died last year, so it's just the two of us now. I'm gonna move in with her next year.
Oh, yeah? You're not moving up to Sacramento?
No. I know we talked about that, but when Uncle Benny died,
Bummer.
she wants to leave me the house.
Wow, must be worth a fortune.
I couldn't sell it.
Are you nuts? I'm sure it's worth a couple million. You could retire, travel, take pictures all over the world.
I'm not ready to think about all that.
Have you considered what's best for her? Maybe moving into a retirement community with other people already?
I could never.
So you're just gonna stop working and move in with her?
Who says I'm going to stop working?
Or you'll just stay in LA all the time?
I haven't got it all figured out yet, but I'm not putting her in some hole.
I just mean...
I know what you mean. Please, can we...
Okay.
He starts the recording.
Please state your full name for the recording.
Rebecca Miriam Beckman.
Grace comes around the corner.
Hannah Esther Beckman Leibowitz.
H-A-N-N-A-H.
Grace crosses to the table and sits.
C-H-A-N-A.
2 N's in Beckman.
Yes.
How do you come to be called Grace?
Hannah means graceful. My adopted mother's name was Hannah, so they changed my name to Grace. It's been my name since I was 15, so I'm used to it.
You are Grace, Tanta. It suits you.
It does. So, Grace, can you explain how and when you became involved in political activism, specifically marches?
I can.
She looks at him with a twinkle in her eye.
Okay. Will you please explain, and please start from the beginning, where you come from and so on?
My parents were both from Minsk, but my brother and I were born in Cologne. My parents, may they rest in peace, were taken to Lodz and eventually to Auschwitz, where they were murdered. My brother and I were miraculously saved by the kinder transport the night before our parents were arrested. They had arranged for us to go, but it seemed as if it wasn't going to happen. And I'd heard my parents whispering, and Mama cried every night. But then after dinner one night, a man and a woman appeared at the door. Mama had a suitcase under her bed. She pulled it out, put it in my hand, and slipped this bracelet on me. Then she grabbed me tight and hugged me. Papa was holding the baby and weeping so hard. Mama pried him out of Papa's arms and gave him to the woman at the door. I cried and didn't want to go, but Mama shoved me out and locked the door. That was the last time I saw my parents. The couple drove us to Belgium, pretending we were a family on a holiday.
Do you know their names?
No, we never knew. And their identities had to be protected.
Of course.
They took us to the orphanage in Zwin, where we lived until they found some distant relatives of ours in Brooklyn. Their name was also Beckman. Our grandfathers had the same father. They adopted us, but never felt so much like family. They always reminded us that they were doing us a big favor and didn't get paid for it. I never stopped feeling like an orphan. My brother not so much, but a bissel. Anyway, I was born in 1928, so I was 13 when they took us to Belgium. At first, I thought our parents would come for us, but when we went to Brooklyn in 1942, they told us we'd probably never see Mama and Papa again. A few years later, we saw their names on the highest list of the dead.
I never knew you didn't know they were dead until later. That must have been torture.
It was.
I guess Dad was so young, none of it meant anything to him. He didn't know to miss them.
He was barely 2 when we went to the orphanage. Anyway, I lived in the house with most Schoenbergers for 3 years.
Why do you call them that?
They were cruel. He was a sick man.
Who was?
Our Brooklyn Tata, very sick.
How do you mean?
He came in my bed.
Oh my God. Well, this explains why you left right out of high school.
Yes.
Did you tell the wife?
Yes. She slapped me.
Oh, Tanta.
She crosses to Grace, tries to hug her. Grace gently pushes her away.
Please sit down, mein Kind. Where was I?
He lived 3 years in Brooklyn.
Yes, 3 years. And then I moved to the city with my girlfriends. We'd all just graduated from Lafayette High. There were 5 of us, and we got an apartment and jobs. And it was a good time for us walking together to work. We all worked in the garment district. right at 35th and Broadway. We were there on VJ Day. You'd think today was the Shivack. I bet it was nothing compared to Times Square, August 14th, 1945. You'd think everyone was happy, but there were a lot of people crying. And the Jews, all the others who were murdered in the camps, and the soldiers killed and maimed in the war, and for the starving German children, and for the persecuted Japanese who'd been locked up for no good reasons, and for the black people who were still all but enslaved in this country. People were pushing and pulling in all directions. We ended up in a midtown deli, having pastrami and beer, and a big group of other people until 4 in the morning. That was the day and night and morning that I learned more than I ever had before. And that's when I became an activist.
And when did you first actually march?
A bunch of us took the train to Chicago after the Fernwood Park riots. We carried signs and walked together, sang and chanted, and we were all kinds of people, all colors and cultures. I'd never met a Muslim before, or a Hindu. I learned so much so fast, and I knew that day, this is where I belonged. In that community that would call for justice with everything they had, and they would do it non-violently. This was very important to me. Others disagreed, and many went their separate ways. But I knew nonviolence was the way.
And you've been marching ever since.
But not today. Well, why is that, Grace?
So I didn't feel like it.
You didn't feel like it? 1 million people take to the streets for human rights and you didn't feel like it?
Hey,
Ow!
she's earned it. She must have marched 1,000,000 miles by now.
I didn't sleep much last night, and today was Shabbos. And I wanted Rivkala to come because we haven't had a chance in how long?
Months. I know. I've been working too much. But we'll go to school tomorrow, Tanta.
What is it about marches that you think is effective? How do they make a difference?
Okay, but Ash, you need to put yourself out there and get real about the way you feel about all of this. I know you're trying to be all neutral, but this is not just any story. You have made it clear that you have a problem with marches in general.
This is not about me.
That's not fair. If you want us to open up to you, you must trust us with your story.
Nobody here is going to hit you for your convictions, Ashila.
That wasn't for your convictions.
We're pacifists. Peaceniks.
Marching is stupid. It's a ridiculous waste of time, blocks traffic, and interferes with people's lives and businesses, and accomplishes nothing except to make everyone look foolish.
How foolish?
The stupid outfits and insipid signs. Oh my God, the die-ins. I feel so embarrassed for everyone when they look like complete idiots.
Better they should be the actual corpses they represent. This bothers you so much? Why?
It's a waste of energy, and it never changes anything. Not to mention the fact that it's essentially terrorism.
What? Terrorism.
Nonviolent protest is terrorism.
Yes, because it tries to bully people, intimidate.
I can't believe you just said that. Terrorism. Maybe if you'd spent some time talking to people who weren't dressed up for Comic-Con today, you'd have more of a...
You don't think nonviolent protest made a difference in the South? The civil rights? Gandhi's march to the sea made no difference?
I think those were different. Gandhi and MLK were true leaders. Those demonstrations had dignity.
There have always been demonstrators who tried to bring humor to movements. It's just that today, the freaks are the only ones getting attention, no matter how important the message.
And without leaders, that's not going to change.
Gashula.
We're not living in some commune singing Kumbaya anymore. That was never...
With the Kumbaya.
You can't reduce the passionate convictions of millions of people seeking peace and justice to a bunch of schlemiels wearing funny hats.
I can. When was the last time a march had any impact besides inconveniencing a lot of innocent people?
What innocent people? Innocent because they're not doing anything? That's not innocent. It's heartless. That's just turning a blind eye to genuine suffering, much of which is caused by our way of life.
What makes them heartless? Buying into the American dream? How can you fault them for that?
I fault the system and those who support it. The people we allow to represent us, who are representing vomitously giant corporations. I mean, this country is run on greed. It's
And
diabolical.
how are you any different? You drive a car, you use a cell phone, you eat with a knife and fork.
You're not wrong.
Why do you march? Why align yourself with the lunatic fringe?
The White Rose Resistance was considered the lunatic fringe. The Jeanette Rankin Brigade was considered the lunatic fringe. Better to march and express our convictions than to goose step with the brown shirts.
Who's goose stepping with the brown shirts? Me?
Aren't you?
Why would you even ask me that?
You're not a part of the solution. You're a part of the problem.
My head's gonna explode. How can I or anyone here be compared to a brown shirt?
It's about cooperation,
Complacency.
the banality of evil,
Apathy.
greed.
What's greedy about wanting to live a good life, feed your family?
How is it a good life when it's soaked in the blood of powerless people all over the world, including here?
Why isn't my job to save powerless people all over the world? How can I?
It's every Jew's job. Tikkun olam, repair of the world.
So you lived on a kibbutz.
What are you?
Well,
She doesn't belong on a kibbutz. She lives in the world. She is an ambassador for all giving, loving people in the world, not to mention our people.
Our people? The Jews?
No, the Swahilis.
Rivkala, I'd like some more hot water, please.
Rebecca gets up, stomps over to the stove, pours hot water in Grace's glass, and puts it back in front of her and stands behind Grace's chair.
Our people, Ashula. You don't like that?
No.
I think we embarrass you with our Yiddish mamas, bitter herbs, gefilte fish, and the Mogan David.
It's good for you. It's fine for both of you, for a lot of people, but I don't think it makes you more Jewish than me.
Who said it did?
Being observant doesn't make you a Jew. People can convert to the religion, but they can't ever be Jews. Not really.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this one. Tell us, Rabbi, what makes a person a Jew?
Liebling, please, with respect.
He's not treating you with respect.
I don't mean to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to...
Be honest. Right.
Yeah. Is that a problem?
It's an excuse for rudeness.
Let him talk. I'm a big girl. I can handle it. Now put your tuchus in the chair.
Rebecca sits and doesn't look at Ash, who is focused downstage, trying to get his bearings.
Please, Ashula, what does it mean to be a Jew? For you.
To me, a Jew is a person descended from those who were killed or escaped the pogroms and persecutions and the Holocaust.
Your family?
Both my mother's parents survived the camps.
Great. We're all Jews here. Next.
I wasn't finished. A Jew is a person who identifies as a citizen of Israel, who believes it is our birthright, homeland forever, ours and ours alone.
So, you don't think we're Jewish?
I just don't understand how you can march with Arabs. I'm willing to bet real money that you want to see, maybe even march for the right of return for the Palestinians in Jerusalem.
I do. I have. And I will continue to, if only in my heart.
Israel is a black and white issue. You're either with us or you're against us.
See, you don't get to do that. Tanta's parents were exterminated in a concentration camp. She barely escaped herself, and my Uncle Benny survived Bergen-Belsen. But because she disagrees with you about the Palestinians, she's not Jewish? I bet you reject Persian Jews, Ethiopian, Japanese, Mexican.
They're converts.
What are you even talking about? The Sephardim were expelled from Spain in the 15th century. They had been there forever. The Persians were driven out of Iran. How is that different from the Ashkenazis of Europe?
Why would a Jew want to live in Iran?
Maybe because it was their home? They'd been there since the year 500 or something?
I don't
And the
get
Hasidim? They don't believe we should have a homeland until the Messiah comes. You want to tell me that the Hasidim are Jewish?
They're fanatics. Nobody takes them seriously. How many of them are there anyway?
Hundreds of thousands. Who are you not to take them seriously? Who the hell died and made you God?
Rivka, please, let him say his piece.
He's obnoxious.
He is our family.
He doesn't think so, Tante. He doesn't even think we're Jewish.
I don't know how any Jew can be against the Jewish state. Nobody wanted us. Nobody. Israel is the only place in the world where we are always welcome. It's our homeland.
Jewish does not mean Zionist, weirdo.
We love Israel, but we don't all agree with the policies of the Israeli government. Next time you're over there, maybe look for the dissenters, millions of Israelis who were concerned about the Palestinians. That would make a good story for your paper.
You're not religious, so what makes it our homeland? That whole premise comes from the Torah.
We earned it by surviving the pogroms and damn near being wiped out by the Nazis.
And the Palestinians? Where is their homeland? They lived for 5,000 years in Israel.
Over them.
And no one wants them. How are they so different from us? Except for the fact that there are millions more of them. Your double standard is disgusting.
You're disgusting. You are in lockstep with these anti-Semitic pseudo-progressives. You're the ultimate self-hating Jew.
I am. And what are you? You're so full of guilt and shame that you might as well have a big red flashing light on your head.
What do I have to feel guilty about? You're the one who...
You're one of those guys racked with guilt because the Jews didn't fight back. And you make up for it by supporting the IDF and every vile policy of the Israeli government. I don't see you over there carrying a machine gun. You're ashamed of us for not being like you, because no matter how hard you try to deny it, you know we're a family. All of us. The lunatic fringe and the neocons, the bagel eaters and the cookie eaters, the ones who write Broadway musicals and the Christmas carols, lesbian rabbis and the intellectuals and the atheists and the atheist intellectuals and the intellectual atheists and the ones who've never been in a temple in their lives. Sephardic, Ashkenazic, Mizrahi and Ethiopian, Hasidic, Litvish, the Chabadim, conservatives, the Reformed, and the Jews for Jesus. We are the biggest, craziest, dysfunctional family in the world, and we're all doing the best we can, and the guilt and shame are never going to give us a day's peace.
Ash glares at Rebecca, who finishes her tea and pours vodka in the glass. Grace dips a piece of rye bread in her tea, eats it, and wipes her mouth with a napkin.
You ever hear of Jewish Alzheimer's?
I don't think so.
You forget everything but the guilt.
Let's not forget the vaudevillians.
This is the vodka talking, I think, my baby.
In vino veritas.
May I use the restroom?
Oh, Ashila, you can go out and vision in the gladiolas.
She points to the hallway.
Down at the end.
Ash exits to the hallway smiling.
Thanks, Tanta.
Grace stands, crosses to the fridge, pulls out a pitcher of water and puts it on the table. Rebecca, stunned, still looking at the hallway arch where Ash exited.
Well, I'm more or less completely verklempt. Tanta, he called you.
That's a good boy, Rifkilla.
Rebecca pulls out her cell phone.
I've got 1,000 texts from my friend who's trying to set me up with her brother. She's so persistent. I don't know what to do. Tanta, he's not Jewish. I'm afraid it'll offend her if I tell her that. They're Chinese, so I'm worried she'll think I'm racist if I don't give them a
Can you
chance.
tell her you already have somebody?
Do I know? I don't even know what's going on with that.
So, maybe you want a date with the brother. So you'll have a little coffee, you break bread a time or two, couldn't hurt.
What if I like him?
Oh, you'll burn that bridge when you come to it.
I'm not good at this stuff.
Right, baby, such a soft heart.
Ash enters from the hallway.
Rivkilla has a dilemma. Maybe you can help.
Dante?
A Chinese friend who isn't Jewish wants to match Rivka with the brother.
Whoa!
Rivkilla is afraid if she turns down the meeting, she'll seem prejudiced.
So what if he's not Jewish?
Dante.
This is good, Blink. It's good to talk these things out.
I just think I should date Jewish men.
Why?
Because respect, I guess, for my parents, for their parents, and if I ever have children, I want them to be Jewish with no complications.
So why does it even matter to you?
Come on. It's sentimental and obvious.
Your father married Jewish, I married Jewish. What about your family, Ashla? All Jewish?
My brother married a Gentile, but she converted.
So you don't think she's really Jewish?
As long as she raises the kids Jewish, I don't have an issue.
I bet that's a huge relief to her.
Shut up.
You never dated a girl who wasn't Jewish?
I had a few crushes, but I switched.
This is gross. I hate talking about this.
So?
I don't know why it's so important to me. It just is. And I feel like a big racist not wanting to date my friend's brother, who is Chinese, even though that isn't the reason. If he were Chinese and Jewish, I wouldn't feel weird about it.
So tell him you already have a boyfriend.
I'm not gonna lie.
So don't lie. Call the state. I'm meeting your family. No big deal.
Good idea.
I've already told her I'd go with him on a blind date.
Why'd you do that?
Well, I didn't know.
Look on the right side. Maybe he'll want to convert.
I don't want to be with some convert.
That makes no sense.
I don't want to have to explain everything. And I just don't want to.
Think of all the holidays. Chinese New Year, Easter, Christmas.
Shut
You could get presents for Hanukkah and Christmas. You could sit on Santa's lap.
But you can sit in a cathedral eating bacon on Yom Kippur dressed up as Santa Claus, and she is still 100% Jewish. Nothing we can do will change who we are.
There's no shame in wanting to marry Jewish, Liebling. Just text your friend and tell her that you can't do it. Then don't think about it anymore tonight.
I wish it were that simple. Ugh.
She turns off her phone and puts it in her purse.
I'm keeping my phone off for 6 months. Can we get back to the interview already?
I want to talk some more about the romance in your
Would
life.
you just...
Cookies? More tea? Coffee, maybe? What?
Cookies!
Milk?
Definitely. Ash, you want some milk?
No thanks.
He resets his recorder. Rebecca happily pours herself a glass of milk, gets a little plate out of the cupboard, crosses to the table, puts her milk and the plate at her place. She clears the empty glasses, takes fresh water glasses out of the cupboard, and puts them in front of Ash, Grace, and herself before sitting back down. She puts a few cookies on her plate. Meanwhile, Grace gets up from the table, goes into the living room, and returns with a big photo album, which she puts on the table in front of her.
With your permission, I'd like to shift to your childhood, Becky.
Oh,
Ash!
she throws a cookie at him.
What?
Becky, ask me.
Okay. Rivkilla, what's the first march you remember?
Grace opens the photo album and locates the march to which Rebecca refers.
I could never forget because the cherry blossoms were in full bloom and Washington looked like a Tim Burton film. Everything was so big and the buildings were crazy tall. I had a bright pink balloon tied to my wrist and we were all wearing matching tie-dye. My parents had on t-shirts and I had on a dress and Tanta wore a scarf Mama made for her from the same batch of dye. Peter, Paul, and Mary sang a bunch of songs that I knew because we had the record at home. They looked much older than they did on the album cover. And Mama told me the record was 20 years old, which sounded like a long, long time to me. I got to ride in the stroller. I think that was about Latin America, wasn't it, Tanta? I think I was 5.
Grace points to a picture in the album and slides it over to Ash. It comes up on the screen at the same time. Rebecca grabs her camera, runs around over Ash's shoulder, and snaps some photos.
There we are.
Oh, wow. Look at you, Tanta. Your hair is so dark.
It's turned gray worrying about my niece.
Oh.
Rebecca kisses and hugs Grace.
Is that your father talking to Jesse Jackson?
Yeah? They were good friends.
That's interesting. I thought he didn't like Heimies.
But a vault.
He used to call Jesse Schwarza, and Jesse called him Yid.
Not funny.
That was their relationship, their
He
business.
still sends me a forbidden basket every Passover. He's a good man. A misunderstood man.
Ash points to another picture.
Who's this with you, Grace?
Don't you recognize him?
I do, but I can't think of his name.
That's Ed Asner. Such a good man and a good actor.
I don't even know how many times I've seen him play Santa Claus.
Jews make the best Santas.
We just saw him a few months ago at that guy's house for the party.
Frank in Culver City last year. There's a great peace activist for you to interview, Ashela. Do they have a view up there?
Gorgeous. Yes. Frank's place is the hub of the LA peace and justice community. Everybody goes to his parties. All the celebrity peaceniks. Martin Sheen, Danny Glover, Woody Harrelson, Alice Walker. Who's that guy from LA Confidential? That tall guy.
James something.
Cromwell? James Cromwell?
Wonderful man.
And who's that actress from Dharma and Greg?
Jenna Elfman?
No, the other one, the mother.
Mimi Kennedy, and she's fantastic.
Oh, you'd love Mimela. She's a force of nature. So gracious, so committed, no matter how busy she gets.
And Harry Belafonte was there. You should see it, Ash. All these movie stars in shorts and T-shirts and an excellent little band nobody's ever heard of. Any excuse for a party.
That's a curious subculture. The hippies and movie stars.
It's a great way to grow up. Beatniks love to celebrate. Otherwise, I think we all kill ourselves. And because we happen to be gathering, what the hell? Somebody starts passing the can around, and we end up raising a pile of gelt for the cause.
What else do you remember about that first march?
I remember lots of being pushed in the stroller, singing, chanting, and then riding on the subway, and the streetlights coming on as we made our way back to Carmen and Jack's where we were staying, falling asleep in the stroller. It's a very cozy memory.
We stayed at Carmen and Jack's place on Capitol Hill with several other families. They were old friends and had 7 bedrooms in one of those grand old houses. It was a wonderful gathering place for decades.
Jack always gave me a little glass of Fresca and some graham crackers. Even when I was a teenager, he was the sweetest, kindest man.
He'd been a Seabee in the Second World War. His brother was a radio man, just 18 when he was killed on a Coast Guard ship in 1942. May they all rest forever in peace. Every year at the Battery Park Memorial, Jack and others organized a vigil. It was the saddest thing. The only time I saw Jack when he wasn't smiling.
Some of the best picnics I can remember were the Veterans for Peace gatherings here in LA. Happy times, lots of music, lots of food.
Vegan, I bet.
Vegan friendly, yes, but there were steaks and hamburgers and hot dogs too, and lacto-ovo options. The food started some of the most intense long-term arguments ever. They are still going on. Politics of food. Dear God.
Your father was such a self-righteous vegan.
But he was a wonderful father. Funny and loving, never pressured me to do anything I didn't want to do. All my friends' parents tried to manipulate them into things, but never Dad. Mama, a little bit, sometimes. She wanted me to go into politics, but she loved my photographs, so once I told her I was interested in photojournalism, she supported me.
You are a terrific photographer. You should be traveling the world, not stuck in LA.
Hey, I'm not stuck here.
Ash crosses to the sink and rinses his hands.
You're so talented. You could be winning Pulitzers.
Oh, brother.
Seriously.
Rebecca crosses to him at the sink.
Would you please drop it?
No?
Nothing, Tanta. Ignore him.
You should.
Shut up, you.
That's to see.
Nothing, Tanta.
She
Please.
shouldn't be moving in with you, Grace. She should be focused on her career.
Rebecca smacks him hard on the chest.
Damn you.
Ow.
What is the matter with you?
I care about you is the matter with me.
Simpson, both of you.
Ash and Rebecca cross back to the table and sit.
Do you think your parents would want your life stunted just because?
Up. Why are you even here, Yenta?
You invited me.
I didn't invite you here to stick your big Jewish nose into my life.
Rivka, that's enough.
Don't tell me.
Stop it.
Damn it!
She storms out the door. It's quiet for a few moments. Grace slowly pushes back her chair, rises, puts the vodka in the freezer, crosses back to the table, collects the vodka glasses, the bread plate, and puts it in the sink.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to open up a can of worms.
No, Ashley, you didn't.
No, this isn't right. If I hadn't...
If your grandma had testicles, she'd be your grandpa.
Gash! My bubby always said that.
We are a colorful people.
Ash shakes his head, pours himself some water.
This is the weirdest day of my life.
Oh, baloney.
Well,
But listen to me, you.
okay.
Turn that thing back on and listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it on?
It is.
You want to know why I marched for 60 years?
I obviously...
Shut. Don't interrupt me. And don't be stupid.
Okay.
I marched because of exactly this kind of conversation you're having with Rivka. Who are you to decide what happens with me in my house? And who is my niece to do likewise? I have lived in this house 42 years. Can you even begin to verstehen 42 years?
Longer than I've been alive.
And you and my niece are going to verhandle my situation? Like I'm a mishugging child?
It's not about that.
Of course not. It's all about you and what you want and what she wants.
You're her family.
But I'm not her property. I'm not some old dog for you to figure out to put down.
She crosses to the door and calls to Rebecca.
Come back in here, Rivka. I need to talk to you.
Grace watches as Rebecca walks to the door and enters, crosses to the table and sits. She doesn't look at Ash.
Tonto.
Shut. Listen to me. Both of you. This is my home, and it's been my home since long before either of you breathed your first breath. I'm 77 years old, and for all we know, I'll live another 30 years.
May we be so lucky.
So do you? You want me to live 30 years in some nursing home?
Tonto. No one wants you in a nursing
Not a
home.
nursing home, but a retirement community with other people your age.
So I can play mahjong and watch Golden Girls reruns all day.
Doesn't sound like that anymore. My bubby lives in a terrific place. They go to museums and shopping.
Makes you think I need a crowd with me to go museum shopping?
Rebecca said,
Tonto, can we please talk about this later?
I heard you. I heard you too when I went to the toilet.
What did you hear?
I heard them trying to convince you to put me in a home.
it wasn't like that.
Thanks. If I move in with you, that it'll hurt my career.
Rebecca's words hang in the air. Ash looks at Rebecca, who looks at him angrily and crosses to the door, looking out.
I'm worried too.
Tonto.
I know what you think, Rivka. I know you think you can just come and live and keep living your life and working, and one day I'll just die in my sleep without any fuss. And then you can sell the house.
You
and-
never said I was going to sell the
Of
house.
course you sell the house.
Why do we even have to talk like this? I don't want to think about the future. I want to think about right now and maybe tomorrow. I want to come live with you because I love you and I miss you and you're all I have.
Not all.
What are you?
What are you, blind?
This is nuts.
Back to the point. I marched for people who couldn't march for themselves, as I may not be able to march one day.
You march for a senior citizen?
Now you're being intentionally obtuse. I hate when you do that.
We march for the invisible ones, the voiceless ones. Sometimes their voices are drowned out by supposedly well-intentioned children like the two of you. I've stood with other ultimension on the corner protesting injustice. You know what most of the angry people say to us? Get a job! Our average age is just high 70s, and that's the best they can come up with. Get a job.
That's just silly.
But it betrays the larger attitude. Dissenters have always been pushed to the margins, unless the majority agrees with them. The majority are too comfortable, too busy, too tired. Sometimes we march with people who need to, or they'll go mad.
Have you ever been arrested?
I stopped counting after 100 times.
Seriously?
At Fernwood Park, we watched white rioters commit violence against black residents as the police looked on. The whites were trying to make the black veterans and their families leave the neighborhood. They had served in the war, but weren't good enough to live near white people. I was caught up in a mob and arrested. When they found out I wasn't supporting the riot, I was detained in a tiny cell alone for 3 days. The rioters were released. I had nothing to read, nothing to do. I thought I'd go Miss Sugar. That was the last time I was caught off guard. From then on, I knew to expect it.
What's the point?
The point is to have enough people arrested at once to overwhelm the system, or to have famous people arrested with us so it makes the news. Hippies and movie stars. Then the cause gets attention. Once, when we were counter-recruiting with Susan Sarandon, my friend Ruthie lost her prosthetic leg while she stepped up on the paddy wagon. She left. The young policeman escorting her burst into tears. He didn't sign up to put grandmothers in jail. He was changed that day. Nothing else was accomplished. At least one policeman woke up.
But did it change the world?
Change the world. What an idea.
If it doesn't work, why keep at it?
To keep the dream alive.
Idealism.
Not head in the clouds idealism. What our ancestors did allows us to breathe today. We've been marching for centuries, all the human family. We marched to wake people up to the oppression of black and brown people, children, workers, the poor, women, of elders. Some people march for the suffering of animals, God bless them.
It's too
We
much.
protest the destruction of the air, the water, the land. There are things that belong in the marketplace and those that do not. As long as there is profit to be made from it, food, housing, water, electric, clothing, education, and healthcare simply do not belong in the marketplace.
They belong in the government.
It's supposed to be of the people, by the people, and for the
We
people.
elect representatives.
Free trade is the best way to feed, clothe, and care for
The
people.
market drives.
What the market drives? Human trafficking. Do you have any idea how much of it goes on today? No, of course you don't. But it's rampant and market-driven. And while we're at it, so are nursing homes and hospices. So are daycare centers. The employees are paid a pittance, while the stockholders lick their chops. You can judge poor people who depend on welfare because you don't know them.
People want.
You wouldn't march for children who were abused, brutalized, humiliated, raped, tortured, starved, imprisoned in their own homes. But I bet you'd march if the U.S. government turns its back on the Israeli government. Wouldn't you?
Probably. I can't imagine that happening, though. If the American government did that, the U.S. would have to admit that we were wrong after the war. We were wrong to work with the British and see the survivors settled in Israel.
Rebecca crosses to the sink, washes and rinses all the dishes, and puts them in the drainer, dries them, puts them away. She interjects over her shoulder now and then.
They were wrong. First, they put Jewish refugees into camps on Cyprus. Then they founded the Jewish state and displaced 500,000 Palestinians. How could it not fail?
Jews had to have a safe place to go when the war was over. We could never let that happen
In
again.
1942, the U.S. State Department knew that Nazis planned to wipe out the Jews, but nothing was done for 14 months. Then it was too little, too late.
That's how you're gonna have a stroke.
Roosevelt ignored letters and memos throughout the late 1930s, begging him to intervene. And during the war, he was sent appeals to bomb the gas chambers, railroads, and bridges at Auschwitz, and he refused outright. He said it would divert essential air power. Well, what? It was worth it to allow the death camps to continue?
If they bombed the camps, they would have killed all the prisoners. How many people who survived would be dead today?
So it was all worth it to you because now we supposedly have a homeland. Never mind that the Palestinians have been living in an open-air prison for
If they quit
decades.
shooting rockets into the cities,
If Israel would quit bombing them with
we have a
missiles,
right to defend ourselves.
we have gotten nowhere. Nowhere.
Arafat had a chance and he blew it. He didn't care Israel was ready to give it to 98% of the Palestinian demands. With him, it was everything or nothing.
If the violence doesn't end, there will never be peace anywhere on earth. And the fact that Israel is supposedly our homeland will continue to mean less and less every day.
Beam me up,
They
Scotty.
could have had a capital in East Jerusalem. They could have had custodianship of the Temple Mount.
Israel will never allow the Palestinian population to overtake.
We can't ever let that happen again. I agree with you that in an ideal world,
Oh, Ash, please take it back. Tanta, please let's not do the
just like the Palestinians, the Nazis were insane with hunger for land. Everyone wants a bigger piece of the pie.
Enough
You
already.
think the American military government fights for more land?
No, we fight to stop despots and then to defend our national interests and the interests of our allies.
Do you really believe that?
I do.
Then why is there so much suffering in the world? Well, we've got military bases all over the planet. Come on.
We fight because we have a culture based on a military system.
Huh?
Oh, come on, Ashila. You're smart and educated. How many congressional districts are in the United States?
435.
And in how many of those districts do you think there are defense contractors?
I have no idea.
Guess.
Okay. Half, maybe?
Guess again.
I don't know. 2/3? 3/4?
All
All of them.
of them.
Okay, so there are defense contractors in every congressional district.
Major employers in every congressional district.
Got it. Major employers in every congressional district have contracts with the Pentagon. That's a big chunk of the economy.
Yo, you may be too young to know this, but look up Eisenhower's farewell address when he warned about the military-industrial complex.
Okay. But how does that mean our culture is based on a military system?
He said, the total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society.
Right.
If you've got 30,000 people working in a place, those people have to go to lunch every day, no? And they have families.
Yes.
They use gas stations, markets and pharmacies, insurance agencies, schools, houses, apartments, cars.
I get it. I get it.
How many anti-war and anti-military congresspeople do you know about?
Percentage? But some others vote for less military funding.
How much less?
A few billion, usually.
Dude.
100 billion. And it's a drop in the bucket.
I just gotta look that up.
Oh,
Ash reads from his phone.
The current defense budget is 400 billion, up from about 300 billion last year.
and you see how the gun steppers have a fit and accuse the others of being communist for wanting to keep it at 300 billion. What person in the Congress would have the basin to bring to the table the idea of actually stopping being, by 10,000%, the biggest military in the world?
We protect vulnerable people in countries all over the world.
Protect nothing.
Yeah, they only killed Jews and who knows how many millions of other people in less than 10 years. No big deal. No need to be proactive today. Do you think if we hadn't fought and won the Second World War that any of us in this kitchen would even exist.
What I think is that to only look at that is to ignore the terrible, ongoing suffering of billions of people who aren't us. Are we the only ones who matter? This country and its allies largely fought to put money in the pockets of the rich, especially the ones that owned the munitions factories.
We're a capitalist country. That's the way it works. Countries need defense tools, and companies need to make and sell them. It's not a perfect system.
Perfect. When are you conquered the cup? There's no difference between Roosevelt and every American president since Hitler when it comes to turning a blind eye to suffering for personal gain.
Oh, come on.
And you are no different.
Whoa.
No different.
No different than Hitler?
You turn a blind eye to suffering. Hitler didn't lay his hands on people. Does that make him innocent?
How can you ask me that?
How many old people have lost their homes and been displaced and then exploited for most obscene, vile, criminal ways?
I can't save every person who suffered.
You would see me put...
No, Grace, absolutely not. I would not.
In order to go into a retirement community, I would need to sell my house and give them all my money, and they'd take my Social Security.
Dad, no. You're not going anywhere. You're staying here, and I'm moving in with
So you could treat me like a child.
When did I ever?
Moving in is only the beginning.
I want to see you more, Tante. I don't want to.
I thought you were going to move up to Sacramento.
I never said that.
Oh, the hell you didn't.
Said it sounded great, that I would love to be at the Capitol, and we'd be able to see each other all the time. I like the idea of it. But I'm not leaving, Tante.
So she can come with you. Why can't the two of you get a place up there?
I've been in this house 42 years. I'm not leaving. Ever. Not until they carry me out of the slab.
Tante.
Friends are here, my market, my...
Look, Grace, she's not going to leave you. And if she stays, it will hurt her career.
Would you butt out, please?
You're not invited, Rivka.
What?
You're not invited. Who invited you? Nobody. You invited yourself.
Tante.
You think you should just move in my house and live here and what? Well, watch me shrivel up and die?
Not at all. I want to go to the market with you and Shul and to your peace center meetings when I can. What's
It's
wrong
not
with that?
your life, Rivka. I don't want you here.
You don't want me here?
I don't want you here taking over my life. Getting power of attorney like Myra's daughter. Talking her into killing herself.
Tante, I would never.
You say that now, but I don't believe you. And you don't know what you'll do.
Grace?
God forbid, one day I can't go to the toilet. You know what? I don't want you here when that happens. I don't want anyone here when that happens. That's my business.
Look, I think...
Look what you've done. Look what you've done, you bastard.
Rebecca,
How dare you come in here and interfere between me and my tante?
Rivka.
Do you think this is about you being some old woman and me wanting to take over?
Maybe some more tea?
I have nothing, Tante. Mom and Pop are gone. It is just me. Don't you remember after the accident, I went into rehab? It wasn't rehab. I was so depressed. Life had no color, no dimension, no nothing. When they had family day and you were there, you were everything. My whole world.
Rebecca.
Don't Rebecca me. I don't want to live with you in Sacramento. I want to be here. You are everything, Tante, my family. The only thing. Going back to Moses, as Pop used to say.
And I'm chopped liver.
You are so full of yourself. God. You what? You want me to come up there and play house with you? Have babies, plant geraniums in flower pots?
What's so bad about that? What if I do?
I don't want to bring kids into this ugly world.
Grace crosses to the sink and scrubs. Rebecca kind of hyperventilates or something. Ash tries to look interested in his notes.
Go back to the interview.
I don't think...
This is nothing. This is people arguing. This is breath and tears and the banner deep in the guts of the family. One family. Guess what? We're safe and healthy and lucky enough with full bellies to have the luxury to have this argument all night long if we want. Oh, what do we have to complain about? Nothing. Rivkala talked about the politics of food. You know what isn't political? Nothing. Everything is political. And there are people who can't pretend otherwise. This house is political, and who lives in it. Our clothes, the electricity we use, it's all negotiated by the politicians, and it always comes down to more money for the rich. Meanwhile, people are picking food and cotton to make our clothes in the fields, being paid pennies, living in squalor. But you're too comfortable to get up and protest that
I
treatment.
can't take on all the injustices in the world.
How do you sleep nights?
We can't survive in this world without a strong defense. I mean, what's the alternative, really?
Oh, God. You're going to be so sorry you asked.
Die Optionen wie Sterne in the Himmel.
What?
The options are as many as the stars in the heavens.
I take it back.
Where's your Jewish guilt when it might do some good?
You've earned some peace now, Tanta. Please relax.
Nothing worse than Jewish apathy. It wipes out all the great things Jews have invented and discovered. Pacemakers, defibrillators, stainless steel. E equals MC squared. Polio and cholera and bubonic plague vaccines. There are only 15 million of us in the whole wide world. We've done a huge percentage of great things. But we're cheap, heartless, materialistic garbage, according to...
Look. When I was in junior high, we saw that French documentary, Night and Fog, in history class.
Aye.
Yeah. And you're right. I did feel ashamed. When it was over, there were these kids in the back, Gentiles, cracking jokes about it.
No.
One kid blurted out that it was fake. There were two teachers in there. One was a sensitivity specialist. He took the kids into another room, but it didn't make any difference. They never changed. It just gave them more fodder for their bullying.
The lights dim imperceptibly until the only things illuminated are the table and the candles.
A while later, maybe weeks or months, I was at the big public library with my mother. She was taking forever doing whatever it was, so I wandered over to nonfiction and looked at the World War II and Holocaust section. It was huge. Huge. Aisles and aisles of books and magazines, a notice that there was much more in the reference section, a whole series of thick, 5-6 inches thick, faded green volumes caught my eye. They were on the bottom shelf, and I reached down and picked a random one, sat on the floor, and opened it to a page in the middle. There were pictures. Hundreds of pictures. Victims of experiments, a Jewish American POW in a vat of ice, so thin that he looked like a skeleton with eyes. A young girl cut open, an autopsy after weeks of burn experiments, pages and pages of pictures of children. I can't even... I put it back on the shelf, and I found my mother in a meeting room. On the ride home, I tried to talk to her about what I'd seen, but she couldn't hear it. She sobbed. I had nightmares. I still do. The images I'd seen in the book and in the film. Piles and piles of bodies. The Jewish skeleton collection. The lampshades. I hadn't known before what a Zionist was, but once I found out, I knew I was one. To this day, When I think of those pictures, I see piles of me. I see my skeleton and my families. At the museum at Auschwitz, every one of those shoes belongs to me and my family. The teeth and the hair, they're ours. Today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Jews will always be the scapegoats. My priority is to protect and defend Jews.
Grace reaches over and squeezes his hand.
I understand. I do.
I can intellectually grasp your position, but I can't take that leap of faith. I don't trust that if all of us jumped on the bandwagon with you, that Jews would be safe. I mean, we're not safe.
Who is, though? Really?
I'm glad you care about all victims everywhere. I mean, of course, I care about them. There's not enough of me to stretch that far.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Always with Jewish. We're not enough.
Yep. Strong enough. Compassionate enough. When we're strong, we're pushy. When we're compassionate, we're weak. When we're good at business, we're cheap. When we admit we love Israel, we're...
She gazes into the candle. There is a long pause while the lights slowly restore and music gently rises. Ash looks at his phone.
AAA's waiting for me.
I'm sorry, Tanta. I'm sorry, Ash.
It's fine.
Don't
Don't
apologize.
apologize.
Me too, though. I'm sorry for the things I said. You don't have a big nose, Ash. You have a nice nose. I love your face.
I can't believe I called you the ultimate self-hating Jew. That's just... I love your face, too.
There's a big, pregnant pause. Ash and Rebecca's eyes are locked in an embrace. Suddenly, Ash lets go. Grace tries to disappear into the wallpaper.
I love you. I do. I love you. I need you. I need you in every day of my life. I need you in my morning coffee and in my middle of the night. I need you, Rebecca. I want to have little Jewish kids with you. I do. Please don't say anything. If you're going to say you don't want that, please.
How can we? We disagree on so many things.
We have a lifetime to figure it out.
I'm sorry, Ashla, that I called you a brown shirt and said you were no better than Hitler. I'm glad.
You come down here, Ash. If you want to be with me, you can come down here. You'll work it out. If you want to be with me, I'm not moving away from here. I want to be with my tante.
What about...
And I want to be with you. But I don't want to choose. And anyway, if you think I should be traveling the world and winning Pulitzers, I can't be gestating your offspring.
Listen to me. Can't have you coming here and sabotaging your career and missing out on having a life of your own.
I am not sabotaging my career.
Ash is right. You should be up at the Capitol. Where is the action?
I can do that.
When? When I'm gone. I'm not going anyplace anytime soon, Rivka.
If Ash wants to be with me, he can come back here. Or who knows? I don't care.
You don't care? How can you not care? This is a Shayna Borchik, and you're a Shayna Lach, Rivka. And for that, I thank your mother and your father, and may they rest in peace. And I want you should have their grandchildren.
Grieve.
Get going, you. The AAA guys are gonna leave your car for the seagulls.
Ash turns off his recorder.
I appreciate all you've told me. I'll talk to Gil on Monday.
Grace pushes the photo album to Ash.
There's a lot more. So much more for a lifetime. It's good you're writing about it. Take the book, Mitchell.
Seriously?
It's a lot to digest.
I'll bring it back.
Yes.
Very soon.
Good. Come back. Very soon.
Ash looks at his phone.
I'll take you to your car.
It's okay. I remember the way. I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you for everything, and I'm sorry I had no right telling you where to live.
I think you don't want me to take the roommate you hope to have.
Tante.
Don't use me to run from your life, Rivka.
We'll talk tomorrow then, Ash.
Ash, embarrassed, rubs his eyebrow, then awkwardly,
Tomorrow, then.
Good night, Bubala.
Grace gives him a quick hug and crosses to the sink. Ash opens the screen, hesitates, then very slowly touches the mezuzah and brings his fingers to his lips. Rebecca impulsively runs to the door. She and Ash look deeply into each other's eyes. Then he pulls her to him and they kiss passionately. Ash exits. Rebecca stands, love-struck, holding open the screen door.
Close the door, Lipkin. We'll let out all the biting insects.
Rebecca gently closes the door. The sky is suddenly brilliant with stars. Rebecca crosses back to the table and sits.
You don't deserve what I said, Rivka.
We've never fought before.
Grace quickly crosses to Rebecca, who throws her arms around Grace's waist, puts her head against Grace's belly. They embrace emotionally for a few moments.
We've never even been mad at you.
I know, Lipkin. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I'm the one who should be sorry.
Should, schmud.
Oh, Tante. You're one in a million, Tante.
Grace lets go of Rebecca and kisses her on the head, crosses to the sink, finishes up the dishes.
I'm one of many billion, Liebling, and so are you. We're like grains of sand, like stars in the sky.
You're the brightest star I have ever known. You're real. So real. I'm proud of you. I'm proud you're my blood.
She looks out the screen door.
You made a mark on him, Tante. An indelible mark. I know it.
Oh, there's something about that boy. I've got a feeling, Rivka. The shift is in the air. Destiny.
Tante, is anything meant to be, really?
Who knows? I know one thing, Rivka. I love you.
I know one thing, Tantala. You are my Beshert.
They look at each other with love. Lights fade to black. Only the Sabbath candles remain. End of play.
Sign language team, Jerilyn Hartley. Narrator, Don Schoenberger. Grace. Candis, Gingras, Rebecca. Leprintess Bradley, Ash. Voices, Debra Lyman, narrator. Ina Shivack, Grace. Jen Gantwerker, Rebecca. Matt Clarke, Ash. Videographer, R.J. Ross. Post-production supervisor, Kevin Ty. Music composed, arranged, and performed by Driftwood Quintet. Jamie Rivers, oboe and English horn. Melissa Malork, E-flat, A and E-flat clarinet. Max Schwimmer, alto and soprano saxophone. Ben Paley, bassoon. Dominique Hawley, bass clarinet. Written and directed by Jeanmarie Simpson. Many thanks. John Perovich, Laura Ornest, Samantha King, Gary Wright, and Ellyn Stern. Dedicated to the grandmothers, Jeanette Rankin, Edith Bell, Libby Frank, Madeline Duckles, and Mimi Kennedy. The grandfathers, Frank Dorrell and Brian Wilson, and all who march. In loving memory of Maury Ornest, 1961 to 2018. Logos of sponsors: the Ornest Family Foundation, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Arizona Commission on the Arts, Arizona Theater Matters logo.